All right, I think I'm live. And welcome to Taking It Black. I am your host. I'm attorney Valerie Hicks Hale here in the studios of Summit Media Kiss FM. And we're discussing issues that impact African Americans. And wow, we've got I have a short time today. I have a shorter time today that I'll be discussing this with you than usual. So we're going to run about 30 minutes here. But I did want to bring to you a topic. I'm always talking about voting. I wanted to bring to you a topic that will get you thinking regarding how you're going to look at voting for whoever it is, and then to how we scrutinize and how we, how we scrutinize those who are doing their jobs. Uh, Too often, we want to challenge authorities who challenge Black authority. And we want to say, well, they're doing that because they're Black. They're doing that because they're the only Black person this, or they're doing that because they're the first Black person that, or just because they're Black altogether. And that's not always the case. Sometimes, and too often, we get into office and we find people who look like us get into office, and rather than use those offices to help support the community and to do what they said they were going to do, which is to serve the community, they use it more to serve themselves than anything else. And yes, that's my Ring camera, and I'm going to try and turn it off while I'm talking to you so it won't continue to disturb us. But anyway, too often, when we hear people being challenged, when they are doing just that, when they are using their position for personal gain, when they're using their position for profit, or just being lazy, doing nothing in their position. And then when we challenge them on it, if it's a white person that's doing the challenging, if it's a white person that is maybe bringing charges because of that, because of their actions, we want to screen file. And I want to challenge us to think, just like I do when I point out it's time to vote. I want to challenge you to think, to be critical thinkers when it comes to how we exercise our vote and how we exercise our voice. And this one is in particular. And again, I'm the reason I'm bringing this up now is because there is nobody being charged with anything, at least not African Americans. No Black officials that's being charged with anything right now. But there are people in the state who are being charged with some things. And I want to make clear, when you see people being charged and they don't look like us, that's a part of our critical thinking. Valerie, just get to it. Just get started. So let me just give you the story, and then I'll come back to, I'm going to wrap this back around to where we started with. Just because we're Black doesn't mean that they're coming at us just because we're Black. So here we have this story where the Alabama Attorney General, Steve Marshall, has indicted several officials. He's indicted sheriffs, district attorneys with whom he worked. When I came on as the chief deputy DA, he was the head of the District Attorneys Association, and one of the DAs who was a part of that organization was a man he's prosecuting. He's just indicted. Now, he has removed himself. He has recused himself from it because he worked in the organization with him. But his office is going after him. Guess what? He's not African American. He's white. He's Caucasian. The Alabama District Attorney, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall announced a two-count indictment against another individual. This is a sheriff, Leroy Davy Upshaw, who was initially arrested in state charges in September of 2020. Now he's being indicted in 2021. Upshaw, whose term as sheriff ended in 2019, remains out on bond, $30,000 bond from a previous arrest. So he's, they've been checking him, even though he's out of office, just like they're checking Trump right now. He's out of office, and he's probably going to have to look at some state charges, and particularly in New York. Other states are considering it too, but I think New York is really going to come after him. That's what's happened here. He used his office, or he was accused. Okay, he was accused of using his office for personal gain, which is a in this case, a Class B felony, which is punishable up from 2 to 20 years in prisons. Now, let's talk about use of your office for personal gain. That could be anywhere from you take care of me, I'll take care of you, okay, for money, or for, just a favor. You do, if it's in this case, it's a sheriff, law enforcement officer, so he could use his office to say, look, I won't arrest anybody who's related to you. You don't arrest anybody who's related to me. That's using your office for personal gain, or to use your office to have someone fix tickets for you or for someone in your family. That's using your office for personal gain. Taking bribes, that's using your office for personal gain. Anything that is done for you personally, and you use it, and you're getting it because you are an official in that position, and you ask the individuals to do it for you because you're in that position, or the presumption is, if the prosecutor can prove that you knew or should have known the only reason they're doing this is because of your position, and they were expecting something from you on the back end, or you're just twisting their arm because you are in that position. Anyone who gains from that has committed a Class B, depending on how much the issue is, maybe a Class C. But a felony, Class B or Class C felony. In this situation, though, it is a Class B felony. Now, according to the court records, the sheriff, Upshaw was a sheriff in Barber County. And I think he held that position from 2015 through 2018, mid-year 2018. He made $47,000. It's not a lot of money for a sheriff, but he ran for office, right? He understood what the salary was when he ran for that office. So even though I'm thinking for a sheriff, that's not a lot of money, and we're asking them to do a lot, he took the job knowing that. So you can't take the job on the front end knowing what the salary is, and then use your position for personal use on the back end, and then claim, well, I wasn't making enough money. How could you expect me to raise my family on $47,500? Well, believe it or not, people have done it and are still doing it, and they're not stealing or using their office for personal gain in the process. Again, he's being charged with this. He is indicted. A grand jury heard this case, heard the elements, heard the case law. They know what they were told what the elements were of the charges, and then they told them the facts. And based on that, they determined that this case was a strong enough case to go to a jury. The grand jury doesn't decide guilt or innocence. The grand jury only decides whether it goes to a jury. 12 people will hear this case and make a determination in the end as to whether he is found guilty or not. In this case, going back to this case, Upshaw, who was again in Barber County, the accounts for several non-payroll but operational accounts were, I want to say tapped. They were used. Okay. He allegedly took money from those accounts. When the auditors, and we're audited, if not every year, every 2 years, we have an auditor who will come in, and they may see irregularities in the audit, and they may say you need to make these corrections going forward. They may see something that you've done that they say, no, you need to correct this now. And if you've misspent funds, you need to make the correction there. If you, I've seen a situation in the case, in our case, in our office, where they asked the previous administration to pay back money, maybe a few $1,000s. They asked them to pay back money. They paid back the money. In this case, they asked him to pay back money. He didn't pay back the money. So in the situation, I still take issue with the fact you could be accused, but these were just auditors. You could be accused of mismanaging or using money outside of the way you should have used it and just be allowed to pay it back. We were appalled. We could not believe that what the auditors found in that case were actually would have been done. I mean, we would never have done that. And if you read the ethics law, you understand what you can and can't do. And if you are in office, then you have a responsibility to read the ethics law. If you don't know that you're or not a lawyer, you're responsible for reading it, finding out, and consulting a lawyer. And so in our situation, when we walked in, we demanded an audit of our books for this very reason. And I'm so glad that she was smart enough to do that and strong enough to demand it and to learn that you had those irregularities that the auditors said had to be fixed. And I'm getting off subject here, but anybody that goes in office, if somebody else has been there before you, if you can get an audit done so that any irregularities can be, if nothing else, whether they fix them or not, can at least be attributed to the person or the administration that did it. And that's, we wanted to make sure that happened in our case. But anyway, as I said, several $1,000s they had to pay back. And in this case, they allowed them. That must be something that the state auditors do. They give you a chance to pay the money back. Well, in this case, rather than pay the money back, what he decided he would do was to take money from 2 other accounts that weren't really under consideration at the time. So he was using money from one account to pay back money that he allegedly used from another account. Again, these are all allegations, I should say. Notwithstanding, as a result, he was indicted. And so again, why am I mentioning this? Because he's not Black. He's not African American. This is the Attorney General going after a white man. Okay? Going after a Caucasian man. So again, when we hear that they go after us, make sure that we're not upset and offended by that because just because the individual is of color. And you can be offended if they're going after them and they hadn't done anything. That I think we have not only a right to do. I think we have an obligation to do it. Okay. But when the person really has done what or there's facts to support that the person really has done what they're being accused of doing, let's not use the Black card. I mean, we've got too many issues in our community that we need to address to falsely use the Black card for somebody that doesn't even deserve our defense. If they've done it, okay, fine, take your whipping and move on. But don't, I'm going to go ghetto. Don't be out here. Don't be out here using the race card to say that you have somehow been mistreated. And they only do that to us. Well, that's not true. because clearly we can see in this case. Got another case I want to talk with you about in Lee County. This was a case where the Alabama Attorney General's office released a statement regarding the indictment of the district attorney, then District Attorney Hughes, he was the district attorney for the 37th Judicial Circuit for Alabama. That was Lee County, on ethics, theft, and perjury charges. Here's something what people don't understand. If they are investigating you, and you lie to a federal officer, and you have been instructed that you are being questioned about some issue, you could be cleared of that issue and still indicted, charged, and do jail time for perjury. So don't lie. You know, if they catch you in a lie, that's like when I was prosecuting civil rights cases. If a company had violated the law and discriminated against someone, it may be really hard to prove that it was race discrimination. But then when the person filed a lawsuit or complained about it, then they started doing other things to them that would challenge their even existence in the company, maybe pushing them out, reducing their pay, or even terminating them. That was almost a slam dunk. Because we could show that you did it. They did it because this individual participated in their federally protected rights to complain about race discrimination. So even if I couldn't prove the race discrimination, the fact that they participated in their right to complain about race discrimination protects them from any repercussions. And when the company did that, then they ended up having to settle for because they were being now charged with retaliation, which we had strong evidence to support. Same thing here. If the Attorney General is doing an investigation, or the U.S. Attorney is doing an investigation, they're asking questions, and they don't have enough. After they've asked you questions, they've talked to other witnesses, asked them questions. So it may be, we still don't have enough. But then they find throughout the investigation, you lied. Doesn't matter why you lied. Now, unless you forgot, forgetting something, not recalling something, your memory failing you is one thing, but to out and out lie, that's another. And those perjury charges will stick, and they will do it because it's very difficult to bring a lot of these cases. So if they can put the thumb on you hard enough, even if they know they'll say, I really know this person did it. I don't know if I've got enough to prove it, but if I hammer on them hard enough, maybe they'll lie to me, and then I can use that as perjury. If you're stupid enough to fall into it, then you get charged with perjury. That's what happened here. Partially, because partially. This guy was accused of, again, using funds for personal gain, using his office, I should say, for personal gain. And when he was questioned about it, they alleged that he lied. And so now they've added perjury to this. Why am I talking to you about this case? Because he ain't black, right? The U.S. attorney have gone after somebody who is friendly. He was friendly with this guy. I remember him when we started in the DA's office. I remember going to meetings. I remember the guy from Lee County. And I remember him sitting at the head of the table, and he knew Steve Marshall. They talked and laughed, as his associates would do. If he go after somebody like that, then he's going to go after anybody else that he feels has violated the law. And so, I think that sometimes officials doing their job get a bad rap when they come after us. I'm bringing this up because he's not talking about us. He's not dealing with us right now. But I want to make the point that we forget sometimes they do go after other people. We think that they're only coming after us, but they go after other people. And so again, that doesn't mean that if they come after us that they're not wrong. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is look at the evidence. Be critical enough to say, now, what is it that they're being charged with? Well, what does the evidence show? What did they tell the grand jury? Well, is that something that you could see is feasible? Is it feasible that that would be could have possibly happened? Then, okay, maybe a jury should look at it. But again, let's stop with this. Every time a Black official is charged with something, we want to say, well, the only reason that they're doing that is because they're Black. Or, and this one I can't stand. I hear it all too often, and that is, well, they do that kind of thing all the time. When we do it, they come after us. That is no excuse. That is no excuse. That means that everybody's crooked then. So no, it's no excuse to say, well, other people have done it and they don't go after them. If we are in a position where we can help the community and we use that position, not so much for the community, but for our personal gain, I'm sorry, I have nothing for you. I just, I have nothing for you. Especially when you do it knowingly. Do people make mistakes all the time? Of course. And I'm not talking about situations where someone has made a mistake or made an error. And evidently the state ethics or I won't say ethics board, the auditors recognize that and will give you a chance to correct it. But when you don't correct it, or when you're just blazing about it, yes, I'm Miss So-and-so of this office. And because I am, yeah, I expect you to do this for me, or I expect you to do that. If you're that blazing and stupid that you think that's okay, then yeah, you get whatever's coming to you. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be upset about it. But let's not, if that happens to someone, let's not claim that that the person that he's doing it because they're Black. We've got one more here, another indictment. Now he's been in office really less time than we have, because I remember going to his investiture down in Montgomery. But we have another one, a county commissioner, Johnny Andrews, on 6 felony counts, unlawful distribution of marijuana. Went after him. He has allegedly violated several laws, in addition to, as I explained to you about going through the investigation. If you don't tell the truth, that can come back to you on perjury. Again, all I'm talking about is being diligent enough, smart enough in our thinking to be critical in our thinking, have critical thinking skills when it comes to who we're voting for. If they want a job, explaining to them, going to these meetings where they come and speak to you and saying to them, I don't care what you say you can do until you show me what you've done. So if you can't show me what you've done that comes anywhere close to what you say you want to do, I think I need to look at the next guy. In this situation, I want you to be critical about when someone is under investigation, looking at the facts. We've done that when it comes to officers who step outside of the line, across the line, against African Americans. And we've done that well, and we need to continue to do that. But let's just not throw out the race card on everything, and everybody who may not be deserving of that challenge that you or that defense that you're coming at us because we're Black. You killed me. You put your knee on my neck because I'm Black. You've never done that to anyone that I can see in the history of your position, who is white or who is Caucasian. You've never done that. So all I can surmise is that you're doing it is because we're Black or he was Black. Same thing in these situations. Be critical. Go back, look. How many other people have they indicted for similar things? If they're not, if in this situation, the individual, there's facts that support that the individual did that or enough to say it should go to a jury, let's cut them some slack on doing their jobs. Okay. And not just claim that because the person's black, they must have, they're only going after them because of their race. Because that's not the case. As I said, I got paragraphs after paragraphs of where in this state, the attorney general has gone after individuals who are Caucasian. Okay. We aren't coming out saying that he's doing it because they're Caucasian. So anyway, let's just be critical thinkers. How about that? Let's just be critical thinkers. As I said, we have a short podcast today. We'll be back next week. I'm going to probably try and do something on Facebook. I think I've come up with a way to get your interaction. So I may be putting some things out on Facebook, giving you a telephone number to call in after I've given you some information, and just get your opinion. You can say, give me your name or not. And I want to play it for others to hear, because again, we need to have these discussions. We need to, and I need to hear from you as much as I think you need to hear the information that I've pulled for you as well. Wow, that time has passed very quickly. Thank you for being a part of our program, Taking It Black. For those of you who've watched the program, even though we're a podcast now as opposed to being on air, I am on air. I have another show on a sister station, which airs every Saturday at 5 p.m. And you can find us on Heaven 610 WAGG. That's an AM station, 610 WAGG. And it is the Valerie Hicks Post Show. That show replays a second time on the FM channel, 100.1, the new FM 100.1. And that's on Sundays at 6. So on Saturdays at 5, Sundays at 6. Heaven 610 WAGG, 6 o'clock Saturdays, and the new Heaven 100.1, 6 o'clock on Sundays. Thanks again for being a part of our program, and we'll see you back next week. Again, I'm encouraging you to become, and if not become, if you already are, stay a critical thinker. Have a great one. Let's see.